It's weird saying that for once.
Wait, so Henry and Kate, question for you. Would you take the Carabao Cup if I can guarantee you that trophy right now? But then I also said you come 17th. So like, so
okay.
right above.
Yeah.
No, sorry. By like 15th, 16th. Let's not do 17th.
Yeah.
Would you take that? Because you're
I'd
not
take
relegated,
17th and staying above in the Premier League on goal difference if it meant we have something at the end of the trophy, at the end of the season, so I can say, this is what we've got. Because at the moment, we haven't done anything in 17 years. But go on, Kate.
Would you be happy like with that? Like, would you be nicer to Ange? Like, would you say Ange in if he wins you a trophy?
No.
Okay, fair enough.
As much because it's ridiculous. This is the worst Tottenham team.
Do you know what?
Statistically,
I rate that because that's standards. That's not selling yourself for a trophy, and that's what you need. Like, you shouldn't be allowed to. We suffered it last season. I'm speaking from experience. Ten Hag should have gone last season because that league season to finish. I know it's 8th, but the worst ever Premier League finish for Manchester United, minus goal difference. One game in the FA Cup final was not papering over no cracks. I mean, Spurs fans are right to be the exact same way. I don't think they'll win it. I just think Liverpool and Newcastle will have too much.
I don't even know what our team is going to be against Liverpool.
Well, like you were saying before we went live, you've only got like 8 players over the age of 18 that are fit. And that's the whole thing about the Carabao. I just don't see how you go to. The only way you win at Anfield is if for some reason Slot goes super rotated weak and doesn't have big hitters on the bench. I just can't imagine between those players, the manager, and their crowd under the lights, they're going to let a vulnerable, because it would be one of the worst defeats in Anfield history to have a team. Just forget the 2 legs, to lose to this Spurs team at home with your injury problems, with being in a relegation battle. If they were to lose a semi-final to you, like that's a bad day in the office for them.
You know what they're calling it? They're calling it Manchester City versus Wigan. That's what they're referring to that game is.
It's a little bit like it. I mean, they won the FA Cup and got relegated, and maybe you guys, mate, if you guys did that, that'd be beautiful. But then you could win the championship next year, so win-win.
Kate, can I ask you something before you come in? Would
2
you
trophies in 2 years and a league title?
Would you
and
get
relegated? You could even put it on your website and like change the wording so it says championship, but you can make it look like Champions League. Like you could do something.
That end of season DVD would bang as well, guys. Let's not.
Serious question, Kate. Would you get relegated if it meant Daniel Levy goes?
No, not in a million years. I think relegation is never the answer. I don't think people realise
if he's fully out of the club.
Doesn't mean it. No, not in a million years. People don't realise how disastrous it would be if we got relegated. Bearing in mind we still owe a fortune on our stadium. Our players would all go. And I honestly think if we did get relegated, we wouldn't come straight back up. The championship is brutal. It is absolutely savage down there. And I could see us being like a bit like Villa and have a few years in the championship before we come back up. So there's nothing that would make me want to get relegated in a million years. I think it's crazy people are saying that they take it. Because the other thing is, if we get rid of Levy and Enoch, who I don't like, and I would love to see him leave, there's no guarantee we're going to get anyone better. We could get someone
if I could revise the question, then would you take the relegation if it was guaranteed that like Saudis would come in and buy your club?
No.
Okay, fair enough.
I'd never take getting relegated for anything.
Saudis.
Ever.
Are we talking the Newcastle sort of Saudis, or see our PSR?
Okay. Qatar about.
Go out and spend a fucking lot.
Okay, well, like the ambitious kind of Saudis, like that they want to win, like they'll try to move,
just a shake.
Yeah. Like they'll try to move like Man City once they get hold of the club. But you just got to get relegated. You got to do next season in the championship.
How much I would get relegated and spend 5 years in the championship if it meant though. Just listen, hear me out. If it meant in 6 years when we come back up, we get into the January market. And we buy what we need, and we attract top-tier players.
I find that so weird that any fan would want, because it's some people in the chat
Villa right now. Villa have got relegated. Villa are in the Champions League.
Yeah, but we get asked all the time, would we get relegated if the Glazers went? And it has to be a massive no. I can't.
Can we get any lower right now? 17 years.
What you're missing, Henry? What you're missing is okay. If I could say to Kate, I can guarantee you, Saudi owners that run the club brilliantly, that buy all the players you need, that build you a brilliant team, that are amazing owners, well, it's not a fucking gamble then, because you know the fucking result. This only works if it's a gamble still, because if you know the outcome, it's not a gamble, is it? Right? So if the answer is you get new owners, no matter where they're from, how rich they are, there are loads of billionaire owners that have taken over clubs, that have taken them backwards and ruined them. There are people from the Middle East who have bought clubs that are billionaires and haven't done great jobs. So there's no people always say they wanted the Qataris at United. I did. But let's not pretend like they've done the world's most amazing job with PSG. Like, let's be very... So this is the point. So the gamble is, Henry, you get relegated, you do get new owners, but you've got no idea how good or bad they're going to be. Do you take the risk?
You can't.
Who would you stream with, Henry? If you're in
if I didn't know, no, I probably wouldn't. But who would you stream with? The question that Will said,
you got to remember, Henry, your whole career is over as well. Hang on, Henry, your whole career's over as well. No more streaming, no more top six, no one cares who you are anymore. You're in the championship.
Is he not an EFL top six show anywhere? No, he can't.
I don't even think I don't know how long we're going to be invited on this show, because like top six, we're bottom four or whatever.
Hey, Kate, there's people in the chat going on that used to, and I'm here. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
I know. My theory is with Ange. This is a theory, and I'm not saying I support it. It's just something I was thinking about, because this club is making my brain explode at the minute. Ange came in and he said right from the off that he's not interested in top four. He wants to change the mentality of the club. He always wins something in his second season, blah, 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 blah. And I'm wondering if his job is being saved, because Levy sort of said to him, well, look, you said you win something every season. We're obviously not going to do anything in the league. We can't get relegated. You've got to make sure we don't get relegated, but you have to win something this year. If you don't, you're out the door.
What you have... Sorry, go on. Sorry,
I was just going to say, if Levy sacks this guy, it's another acknowledgement that he's made a mistake, because he's employed a guy that isn't good enough, and Levy is not good at admitting he's wrong.
What you've got to be mindful of as well, because my club was brilliant at doing this, is as it looks more and more likely he's going to get sacked, you will get more and more stories out from people like Levy. The training's too intense. He's injuring the players. He did this thing wrong. He did that. We stood by him because he said this. I'm not saying shouldn't be blamed for stuff, Ange. But the club will paint the picture so that you start looking. All clubs do this. So you start purely looking at the manager. When we remember, none of these guys are managers. They're head coaches of the first team. They don't run their football clubs. We as English sort of people that watch the English league, we get suckered in because we're used to the old-fashioned way of managers run clubs. Managers don't run clubs. So even if a head coach or a manager says, I want to change the rules in the canteen so first-team players can't eat with youth players, which has happened at Man United with Ten Hag. The people that run the club and go, fuck off. You're not doing that. Like, they still run the club. If you let them, do you know what I mean? If Ange is making training that intense, still blame Levy. Why are you allowing him to do that? I look at those things. Say you're allowing a head coach to train a team so intensely that hamstrings are snapping like eggs breaking in a kitchen, right? The people running the club, if they allow that to happen, they're not backing Ange. They're setting him up for failure by allowing him. Like any of us in our jobs, if you're doing something wrong, right, and it's failing, and your bosses just let you keep doing it, there comes a point where it's no longer your fault. It's the people that are allowing you to do it. So Spurs fans shouldn't lose sight of that. The Bottom 8 podcast, it's kind of true, to be fair. A man that's desperate makes me hate Levy too, is what Ronan says. To Will's point, make it against basketball game. Sorry.
Make it a basketball game combine.
Okay, injuries.
It's self-sabotage. But for Kate and Henry, and it's tough. I have no idea what I'm reading right now.
I think because I thought you meant argument. It means Ange. He says, to Will's point, Ange makes it a basketball game. Combine that with the injuries, it's self-sabotage from Ange. But for Kate and Henry, and it's tough, would you be in favor of going down to promote change in ownership?
Well done, that's brilliant.
I mean, the funny thing is as well, I'm saying about a basketball game, I think we're third top goal scorers in the league, and yet we're sitting just above the relegation spots. It's. I think I'm in a parallel universe sometimes.
This here says Levy leaves and you don't get relegated. What will Rottenham be left with? No money, and they do you know what I did see, which was annoying? I saw Sky today talking about the banner that you guys had outside, basically saying, how dare those Spurs fans sitting in that new beautiful stadium complain about their owners? Don't be suckered in by the media. They did that about the Glazers this is what I mean by the media. For nearly 20 years, they gaslit us into saying, well, look how much money they spend on transfers. Look at the wage bill. They're not bad owners. Only now to have the complete opposite reaction to Ineos. And I'm not a fan of everything Ineos have done, but the lack of attention to the Glazers for the best part of 2 decades compared to what Ineos are getting is crazy. And they keep doing this. Well, are they any different? Well, they've pumped £300 million in. They've just had it all agreed to build a new 100,000-seat stadium. I am not saying they're perfect. I'm not saying they're brilliant. I'm stating don't say they're the fucking same thing. It's a crazy comment to make, in my opinion.